Welcome to the Queer Thriving Podcast, where we draw inspiration from the past, cultivate thriving in the present, and dream boldly of a better future. Hi, I'm Kari. Any pronouns work for me. I'm glad you're here. Let me describe a piece of art to you. In bold black letters across the top of the image are the words "ignorance equals fear," appearing on a band of teal. The central part of the image is on a bright red backdrop with three simplified yellow figures, one posing covering their eyes, the next covering their ears, the last covering their mouth, in a clear reference to see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Each one has a bold black outline and little shock waves surrounding them, lending this dynamic dance-type feeling to the work. Each figure also bears a pink X across their chest, and across the bottom of the piece it reads, "Silence equals death. Fight AIDS. Act up," with a pink triangle. The pink triangle is being used as a reclaim symbol here, from its use as an identifier for gay people during the Holocaust. ACT UP, which stands for the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, is a grassroots activism group that pushed for and achieved incredible things during the height of the AIDS epidemic, saving countless future lives with their work. And this piece of art was created in support of that cause by the wonderful Keith Haring. Keith Haring did iconic work. Even if you aren't into art, his work was so widespread that you probably recognize his blocky dancing figures, barking dogs, and graffiti-like style, all used to convey powerful messages about social justice issues, which he was able to make a powerful impact in. I think sometimes we can get caught up with ideas about what art should be. We think that it should be respected by art institutions. It should show off incredible and arduous technical skill. It should be something we quietly look at in museums and art galleries. But who's to say that's what art needs to be? In fact, so many incredibly influential artists made an impact precisely because they didn't care about what art was supposed to be, or directly fought back against the stuffy institutions that only supported specific kinds of art. I think some of the most impactful artists are the ones who pushed the limits of the idea of what art could be, instead of being bound by shoulds. Keith Haring was an artist who wielded art in this way. He moved to New York City in 1978 and started his career drawing his chalk figures everywhere he could. He drew on subway walls, blank advertising panels, and in all sorts of public spaces across the city. His first group show in 1980 got him some immediate recognition for his energetic and bold style. Throughout the 80s, he used his popularity to draw attention to important issues of the time. Some works focused on the oppressive system of apartheid in South Africa. Some focused on the fearful future we would be destined for if we did not focus on global nuclear disarmament. Others were an honest and explicit celebration of queer sex and sexuality. Still others were about the AIDS crisis, like the poster I described to you at the beginning, with his art focusing on the need for empathy and action. It is incredibly hard to quantify the sort of impact art like this has on a culture. He was openly gay and open about his HIV positive status and later his AIDS status in a time when people hardly talked openly about any of those things, let alone existed in the public eye constantly, discussing and drawing attention to those things through their work and advocacy. I will tell you this. He could have easily been a niche artist that was beloved by a few, but something about his vibrant and celebratory style of painting just connected with people. He was wildly popular and used that popularity to raise money for the causes he cared deeply about. Tens of thousands of dollars went to charities because of him. And his openness about his gayness and AIDS status helped the wider culture to see how the AIDS epidemic was impacting real people, and how those people were indeed vibrant and precious and deserving to live. It wasn't just him that turned the tide of public opinion, of course, but he was one force amongst many, including public figures, advocates, initiatives, organizations, campaigns, protests, and more, that made this issue, the AIDS crisis, difficult to ignore. It takes a lot of people working together and a lot working toward a common goal to attain the kind of cultural shift in attitude toward AIDS that was so sorely needed. Keith's work contributed to this incredible impact of a relatively small group of people mobilizing toward an incredible goal, making the American government care about the people dying in droves of AIDS and forcing them to actually take action and do something in the face of such a deadly epidemic. So if you are an artist, please know your art matters. When Keith Haring made that poster for ACT UP, which he emblazoned with the words, "Ignorance equals fear," alongside their familiar refrain of "Silence equals death," he didn't know how iconic that image would become and how powerful it would become to so many. It called out those who were ignoring the AIDS crisis and bonded together those who were doing everything they could to fight it. The shift in cultural consciousness that happened might not be something we can easily put numbers to. But here are some things we can put numbers to. He did 25 subway drawings a day at his peak. He created over 50 murals, at least 10 major activism campaigns, tens of thousands of dollars given to charities, millions given to AIDS organizations and more by his foundation, and 31, which is the age when he died from complications due to AIDS in 1990. I would like to close out on a quote from Keith Haring himself. He said, "I feel that there's a responsibility that I have, not just as an artist, but as a human being, to address the issues that people are afraid to confront." And he did. And we can too. We can use art to bind people together, to force people to see us in a new light, and to make a cultural shift over time. So make art, speak up, and until next time, keep resisting, keep dreaming, and keep thriving.